For our Friday weekly webinar. Today, we're going to be discussing tips and tricks on speeding up your immigration case. This is a new topic that we have not discussed about, but it's a very interesting topic indeed, because we all want to know how to speed up that immigration case. We all know how important it is. And luckily, we have our very much board certified, experienced immigration attorney, Ruby Powers, joining us today. And a little bit on our managing attorney here. She's been licensed since 2008, founded the firm November 2009. She is a board certified immigration attorney, of course. She is also the founder of Power Strategy Group, a consulting business, and she's also an author. So what does she not do? Am I right, ladies and gents? So I'm just going to let her take it away with some of the learning objectives today. And feel free to comment down any questions or email us if you have any particular questions that regards to your case. So take it away, Attorney Powers.
All right, thank you so much. This is definitely a hot topic. We have seen a lot of long processing times, unfortunately. And the reason why we wanted to talk about this is we want to empower you on what you can do. Maybe you filed something on your own. Maybe you have an attorney and you're getting told you just have to wait. We just want to let you know what you possibly could do. What are the steps in the processing times to do so? And just empower you and letting you know that knowledge is power, and whether or not you are in the realm of something that you can do or whether you need to wait a little bit more. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about how you check the processing times and case status, just general information with USCIS as well, and then also go into InfoPass appointments, ombudsman inquiries, how to contact your congressperson or senator, filing a mandamus, and any questions you might have. So, and this is brand new content, as Dana mentioned. Yep. We made this up from scratch just for you because we care about you so much. When he was like, so when we were doing the outline, I was like, we got to do this and you got to do this. And I was going to do this. Yes. And the funny thing is all of this was from trial and error. This isn't really in a book somewhere that I know of. Maybe, I don't know. But, I learned this from the hard way. And so that's why I want to share it with you. Okay, so for the most part, USCIS, the way they know, that they're doing something is if they gave you a receipt. It's sort of like, here's your little ticket you get when you're waiting in line, right? And that number is super important. But if you don't have that receipt number, I mean, we got to go on slide 0. We don't have that slide here, but you need to have a receipt. And I've had a case like that where a long time ago, where it got sort of lost somewhere in USCIS's, the belly of USCIS's mail room. But anyway, for the most part, when they process your money, there could be a receipt number on the back of your check if you have access to the image of your back of your check. Now, it doesn't always work, but sometimes when things are a little bit lost or delayed, that's another little trick you can also have. So anyway, having that receipt number is really critical. As you can see on this little image below, the form here, for example, is an I-130, and the receipt number is the WAC 1712, blah, 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 blah. I think this is an eye test, Dana. I think you guys are testing my eye. So it's like, so one of the little tricks is the 3 letters, the WAC. You can Google it, but that'll tell you which where's the processing center that it's located. And so there's SRC, WAC, the NBC. There's like different receipt starting, and then that's all corresponds to the location that first received it and processed it. Now things can move around. They can move things around. Anyway, I'm going too much into that. So the receipt date is important. And that's when they got it. Now, they might not have sent you the notice until like a little bit later, but the receipt date's really the critical one. And that's the date that you're in queue for. Yeah. So it's important to know how to check these. And if you go to the USCIS website, you can put in your little receipt. Well, first of all, you can figure out what type of form is it? I-130, where is it being processed? And you check. And you have to be a little bit of a super sleuth to figure that out. But even if you can't figure out exactly where it might be, even though you can figure it out by the receipt number, those 3-letter code helps guide you and let you know where it is. But what you can do is you can sort of get an aggregate of multiple locations to figure out like a little bit about what the processing time might be. Now, so you would put in the under uscis.gov, you go in and you put the processing go into processing times, and then you're going to be putting in the case form, and then where is it located, and then they're going to give you a little bit more guidance. Okay, I think I'm going to take us on a little
road trip,
road trip or field trip here. So you go uscis.gov. Here we are. Processing times. Let's see what we got. Okay, so then you choose your form, and let's just, I don't know what. Okay, I-730, that's the refugee one. Let's say it's in Texas Service Center, so you have to know where it is, get processing time. And now they're going to, so they'll either tell you, they'll probably tell you the months over here, or they'll also tell you like right now we're working on people who filed April 2019. So that means that there's about a 2+ year wait for the people who filed I-730s in the Texas Service Center. So, you know, this wasn't always so awesome. Like they were giving you some really good information here. I don't really remember it being so robust, but that's a really good place to look, and you can sort of know. Now, what does that mean? If they say that your processing time is 30 months, then that means you're not really supposed to complain until 30 months have passed. So that's where it's a little tricky, because then you're like, they'll just put a really long wait time, and then that way you can't advocate for yourself until then. So that's unfortunate. So that's not, I'm not happy about that part. So that's sort of how to gauge processing times and when you can start complaining or not. Now that is something that you need to know before you do a lot of the next steps. But one other thing you can do is you can look for, you can go on the website and do your case status. So it's that same place, uscis.gov, and then you put your case number here. Just like we showed you over here, like say that WAC blah, 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 you would put that over here in this little box, and you click on check status. And then they don't tell you a lot, but they'll tell you something. They'll say, usually they'll say like, USCIS received this on August 11, 2021. Please wait to receive some notification. If you do not receive it within 10 days, then please contact us. Or maybe not. They probably don't want you to contact them, but so, but they don't always tell you a lot. Like it's really just like, we received it. We scheduled for biometrics. We scheduled you, we're processing you towards an interview. Like it's not like Joe Schmo is looking at your file and, you know, whatever. It's not really, you're this far away from being processed. So anyway, these is another place to go. So that's why having that case status is really, that the receipt number is so critical. And as you can see, receipt numbers consist of 3 letters followed by 10 numbers. And so these are generally what they would start with: EAC, WAC, LIN, CRC, NBC, MSC, IOE. Okay, so you want to definitely check there. And one other note is that if you might not have received mail or something, this is a good place to go check. You also can have your USCIS little portal, and you can be checking statuses. So that's another good place, and you can get it set so they email you. And you know, one other thing that we didn't put in the slide that's important is that your mail is really critical. If you don't update your mail, you might not get it. And if the one benefit of having, well, one of the many benefits of having an immigration attorney on file is that they get a copy of your file, anything that USCIS sends you, as well as yourself. So if, for example, you're changing apartments or houses, and in the mid-process, if USCIS sends it to that old address, because maybe the change of address didn't happen in time, but then they also send it to us, so your attorney of record, well, then at least we'll get it, and then we can let you know, even if it gets lost a little bit in your mail. Just because you forward mail with USPS, the U.S. Postal Service, does not mean that they are going to forward USCIS mail. And take it from me, personally, we learned that the hard way back in like 2007, before I became an attorney, with my husband's case. And so I like to mention that occasionally to people, because you can't use common sense. It is You have to change your address. And even if you do change it, USCIS might not change it in time, and they might also still make a mistake. So document, document, document. Now that can be part of the problem if somebody doesn't get the mail that they were supposed to get. And so they don't know what happened. So I heard of a case recently where the person was waiting forever for a U visa, and the attorney said that they hadn't gotten anything, but apparently there was, and it was a denial, and they lost a lot of time. So I just think it's good for everybody to be able to advocate and investigate for themselves, even if they're having help, just at least know how can you find these things. So you on the USCIS website has a lot of information about changing address and other general information. So get to know USCIS's website. They can tell you more about things. Okay, so let's talk about that InfoPass appointment. InfoPass appointment is when you go talk to USCIS in person. They dedicate a certain amount of officers to greet you and talk to you about a certain matter. Now, I don't know what year. Let's just say at some point in the past, you'd be able to get an InfoPass appointment, and you can go in and say, hey, my case is taking too long, or hey, I need an I-551 stamp, or hey, blah, 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 whatever it is. Well, there was like, I think people were like selling InfoPass appointments, and like it got crazy. I don't know. And then USCIS had COVID and they didn't have enough bandwidth. So long story short, it's a bit harder to get an InfoPass appointment. You can't just go on and schedule it as easily. You have to talk to somebody and be issued an appointment. Now this changes regularly. So I'm just going to say that at some point it was possible to schedule online. Now it's over the phone, and rare situations that you can convince them it's worthy of having an appointment. But I think we might start seeing that change once we start getting out of COVID and more efficiency from USCIS. Okay, why would you want to do this? Well, if you've had a case pending a really long time and it's outside of the processing times, this is a good time we want to go do this. So you've checked your case status, you checked your processing times, and you're like, whoa, 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 I'm outside that period of time that they said it was supposed to take, then this would be a good place to go, because then it alerts somebody. You talk to the officer. Last InfoPass I went with a client, it was a while ago, but we went there, I think it was this year. And the officer's like, we went there to get a stamp because the client needed that to prove for work and driver's license. But the officer's like, whoa, this has been taking too long. I'm like, yeah. And so she was able to get an interview soon after, even though that really wasn't the reason we were going there. We were going there for something else, but it was a good chance to do some advocacy as well. So this can be a really good resource, or if you need to expedite a work authorization, a travel permission, or certain things, this might be the right way to go. Okay, so let's say you checked your status, you checked your processing time, you did an InfoPass appointment, and you've also called USCIS or whomever agency, and no go, nothing's really going here. So you're still waiting. Well, another great place to go is the ombudsman. And basically you can just Google USCIS ombudsman and you'll find it. And they're the place, it's sort of like the suggestion box. It's like, where you having a problem, where do you go here, and they'll fix stuff they'll try to fix stuff or figure out why someone's not doing their job. And so when you do the inquiry though, they're going to ask you stuff like, okay, when did you call? When did you do an InfoPass? When did you do an inquiry? Didn't you all that stuff? So, they're not messing around. They want you to turn in your homework. And if you haven't done your homework, then you don't go here. You only go here when you've done your homework, and they really will ask you about those dates. So I forgot to mention this. When you're having to go down this path, you might not realize you're going to have this journey. But what you want to do is you want to write down what you have done to try to negotiate these issues. So, you want to, I talked to so-and-so, I called 100, I had an InfoPass and I went on this date. You want to keep track of that so that when you have to document later down this journey, if you have to go this far, that you have that proof. So these are they can help you with cases post processing times. That's what we're talking about. Typographical errors in immigration documents, lost files, mailing issues, case involving emergency or hardship that falls under USCIS expedite criteria, cases where the beneficiary may age out of eligibility for requested immigration benefit, applications improperly rejected, cases involving USCIS military personnel and their families, cases where an individual is in removal before the immigration court and has an application pending before USCIS. Okay, so this is sort of like a little troubleshooting location, and it's a great resource. I would just say that under the Trump administration, we saw a lot of delays here. I don't think they had the power to really accommodate all of the requests, but I think they're getting better nowadays. So we're going to give them hope, and I've always enjoyed working with them and have seen positive results in the past. So they're a great place to go. You have to do your homework. Okay, and you have to give them time. They might need about 30, 60 days to do something afterwards. So, and you can always follow up with them too. Okay, so let's say you've done all of that and you're like, what now? I'm still waiting. Ugh. So you also can reach out to your senator or congressperson. So, okay, there you can Google who represents me if you don't know. And, there's 2 US senators per state. And then depending on which state you live in, there might be multiple congresspersons, but you're going to want to go primarily to the one that represents you first. And so when you do that, who represents me, you put in your address and then it'll tell you. And then you go to their website, you Google their website, maybe it has a link, and then you might say congressional liaison help or congressional supporter help. Most of them have a form that you can fill out that says my name, what's the issue, what have you done, who's the point of contact, do I have permission to talk to you or look into this? Mm-hmm. And then you can submit it that way. So you don't have to call, talk to anybody, email. Usually everybody has a form. And you also could reach out to your congressperson plus one of your senators potentially. I find that it can be hit or miss whether this works, but I think the offices that actually dedicate some attention to immigration matters can have the right channels and network to help and passion and bandwidth to push these things along. So it is a possibility to be helpful and can help. You never know what's going to work. So it's definitely worth asking, but only do it when you're outside the processing times or it's a compelling story, because we don't want to be, crying wolf. We want to make sure that we're using the resources wisely. And that's really important. So those are some of the things that you can do, and you can follow up with them. And sometimes people will champion your cause and then they'll help you get to the fruition. One thing that we didn't put on here, but I'll just make this interim slide before we go on to suing, is that you also can get the media involved. Over with our firm, we have a lot of media contacts. I've been on a lot of international, national, local television, newspaper, radio, whatever. And, sometimes when you need to, the only way might work is with media. And so we can explore that. You have to check for confidentiality. Is it worth something? Is that what you want to do? But if it's a compelling story, media is always interested in those types of things. You just want to try to get to the right venue, and it could help dislodge the wait time for your case. So the other thing you can do, and you don't want to have to get here, but you might have to get here, is to sue the government. Mandamus action may be filed in the court to compel USCIS to act where there have been an unreasonable delay that causes harm to the applicant. A mandamus lawsuit can do is force an administrative agency to take action. What it is not to do is order the administration agency to rule in a particular way. So like if a case has been taking a really long time outside of processing time, you've done every single thing I just already said, and you mandamus the government, they might just finally adjudicate that thing. It might not be favorable. So that's one consideration, but it also they might not actually having to go through the whole litigation, because you're basically suing them. They might just resolve the matter and sort of therefore the suit becomes moot, but at least it solved the problem of the delay. So this is something that over here at Powers Law Group, we do perform and we can file these, and we've done them in the past, but we also try to avoid them if we can. So this is another possibility. I would just say make sure you exhaust, and that is critical to filing these, is that you exhaust all other options before you do that. So, Dana, did I cover all the key points?
Yeah, I think we covered our points. We covered the points that were needed.
All right. Well, how do they stay in touch with us, and what do we do going forward?
Well, if y'all have any questions, or again, if there's a topic that you all may want to hear about, I know this topic was a really good one, and we'll be sure to keep it up on our website if anyone has any questions. But again, we do topics over anything and everything that you can think about in immigration. Our next upcoming webinar is going to be on what are your immigration options if you entered the US illegally. Another topic that we have not done yet, but I would 10/10 recommend you all join. Again, if you have missed any of these presentations in the past, you can find them on our Facebook Live and on our YouTube. And while you're there, just stop by and give us a subscribe. But yeah, I'd also say keep in touch with our social medias. But that'll be it. Attorney Powers, do you have any parting words for our guests?
No, I mean, what I would say is make sure that you have a copy of your file. And, you know, regardless if you're still represented by attorney or not, or if you file on your own, please do that. And also, you know, be an advocate, ask questions. Hopefully we've given you some information that you can use to help ask questions and maybe do some of this on your own. You know, for us, I forgot to mention, like if you filed on your own or you're with another attorney or you're changing attorneys, we can help you in a limited circumstance if you just want us to do advocacy and put our name on the case to try to move it forward. We actually had a consult about that just this week, if not more. You know, we have this on a regular basis, so we can do that. And so don't worry about, you know, you're this far and you're like, why do I need an attorney? Well, you just need help being that squeaky wheel and figure out how to get things moving along. We've been able to help a lot of people through a lot of these mechanisms and contacts and just figuring out how to go about it. So I would say that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So these are our tips and tricks on how to move your case along and get a faster result. Thanks so much for watching.